Have you ever wondered how safe your favourite apps really are? Well, today on the Tech Talks Daily podcast, we're going to dive into the critical world of application security, a domain that has become increasingly vital as our reliance on digital applications intensifies. And joining me today is Sandeep Johri, the CEO of Checkmarx, a leader in providing comprehensive application security solutions. But in this era of digital transformation, where every company is becoming an app company now and a tech company, I want to explore how vulnerabilities not only affect customer confidence, but also carry significant regulatory implications. And we'll also discuss how Checkmarx's innovative platform CX1 is setting new standards in the AppSec space, and also how AI is revolutionising their capabilities too. And if we've got time, we'll also talk about the importance of educating developers on application security. But enough from me. Buckle up and hold on tight as I beam your ears all the way stateside, where Sandeep is waiting to speak with us today. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thank you, Neil. Thank you for inviting me to the show. My name is Sandeep Johri. I am CEO of Checkmarx. I am based in Silicon Valley, have been in tech for the last 30 years now. I've done several startups. I've worked at larger companies like HP for a few years, and I've been in tech all this time. So love being CEO of Checkmarx and taking it to the next level.
And it's a pleasure to have you join me today. And there's so much I want to talk about today. But before we do dive in, let's set the scene for a moment. Can you elaborate on how application security transcends its traditional role as risk management tool and actually acts as a catalyst for business growth and innovation? Because huge topic right now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. So, application security has been on the radar at enterprises for a while. But its importance has gone significantly because as enterprises are going through digital transformation, pretty much every process, every interaction with customers, suppliers, employees involves an app. And therefore, we've heard the term software eating the world, but software eats the world through apps. And therefore, the importance of application security has just increased tenfold over the last few years. Now, the other aspect is that applications used to be mostly inside the enterprise and in a controlled environment. They were running in your data centers. You had control over everything that was running. And now with the cloud, with the shift to the cloud, everything is opening up. So applications are shifting to being composite applications where there are lots of APIs, lots of calls, lots of open things. You're putting that into a container, which you're then putting into the cloud. So managing the security of what is today an application is very different than what it used to be. And having issues with that, if your customers don't have confidence from a security point of view, if there's a security violation or their data is lost, there are very real implications to companies, both from a regulatory point of view of penalties and the like, and customer confidence. If customers hear that their data was misplaced as a result of something, they lose confidence in the business. So it has the importance has gone up and its impact has increased. Both the negative impact, if you may. And some companies use, security as a way to even get more business, get more confidence in their customers.
And I think it's also an ideal opportunity to introduce everyone listening from Checkmarx One. And there'll be people listening all over the world. Some will be familiar, some will be hearing about you guys for the first time. So can you just introduce everyone to what it is that you do, what makes you stand out for other solutions in the market, and also how you embody the concept of DevSec trust in a way that aligns with both security and development needs?
Application security, like I said, when applications were primarily on-premise, entities used to use primarily custom code. So the main thing that was important then was static analysis of that code. But today, enterprises use a lot of open source, and then where they deploy applications has changed in containers in the public cloud. What Checkmarx does is we do all aspects of application security, the broader definition of application security. So it involves static analysis, open source, container security, API security, infrastructure as code security. These are all the elements. The supply chain security. These are all the various aspects you need to check to certify that an application is secure. And what differentiates us, and there are companies that do one or two of these. What differentiates us is that we do all of this in a single platform, and that platform is Checkmarx One. We short form it to CX1, but it's Checkmarx One, and it's a comprehensive AppSec platform that a dev team can run our platform, check for all of these things in a single platform, and then put something into production. So we do everything that you need for application security pre-production, pre-runtime, if you may.
And another huge topic right now is AI. It was all everyone was talking about last year, all everyone's talking about this year. And when I was doing a little research on you guys at Checkmarx, I was learning how you leverage AI-driven technology too. So can you expand on that, how you leverage AI-driven technology to prioritize things like security tasks? And also, what kind of impact does it have on efficiency and effectiveness of AppSec programs? Because I think there's so much focus on AI, but it's also about what problem are we solving, how are you doing it, and what are the results?
Yeah. The AI is top of mind for every CIO, for every CISO, and for developers, and it's certainly getting a lot of the buzz. So AI actually has a huge role in security. There's multiple vectors that we see the opportunity. One is in improving our product. So, for example, if you want to define a very specific set of searches or presets in our product, which is, what kinds of security vulnerabilities are you looking for? Instead of becoming an expert in our product, we can use AI very easily. The Gen AI systems have learned our query tools, and a developer doesn't have to become an expert in the product. They can just ask Gen AI to generate a query that suits their needs. That's one way it improves the product. Another way is, as developers are using Gen AI systems, they are increasing their productivity. That effectively means they're generating 20, 30, 40% more code. Now, this is auto-generated code, but auto-generated code is not necessarily free of vulnerabilities. So what we have done there is we have actually added a plugin into Gen AI, and we are working on a plugin for Copilot as well, where when developers are using Copilot or using Gen AI to auto-generate code, we can scan the code right there before it enters the enterprise, so that we check for vulnerabilities right at the source. Think of it as a gateway, if you may. That's the second area. And then the third area is, with Gen AI systems, hackers will have new creative ways of creating new kinds of malicious code or vulnerabilities built into Gen AI systems. So our research team is looking into what are the new kinds of vulnerabilities and threats that Gen AI poses. And as customers are adopting Gen AI systems so quickly, we need to make sure that we are covering those. And you might have heard of hallucinations and malicious code being inserted into LLMs, such that the malicious code gets generated automatically. And we are putting in mechanisms to check for that. So there's multiple threads, and it certainly will help because it makes it much easier. And I can tell you a fourth area, which is developers can't become security experts in every aspect of security. So we use Gen AI to help them remediate vulnerabilities. When we identify a vulnerability, instead of expecting a developer to become an expert, at that vulnerability and know how to fix it, we can use Gen AI tools to suggest fixes for them, which makes it a whole lot faster. So the impact on security is huge, but it opens up new threat vectors, and we are using AI on all fronts, both to improve the productivity of the developer and to make sure that we are looking for new threats that Gen AI might generate.
And we're also talking at the moment in a period of economic uncertainty on both sides of the pond and indeed around the world. And every new tech project is going to have to prove its worth, its ROI, what business value it generates, etc. And traditionally, the boardroom has struggled with cybersecurity to see the value in certain areas. So I'm curious, in your experience, what are the most effective strategies for CISOs to communicate the critical nature of securing code to board members who might not be that well versed in the technical aspects of AppSec?
Yeah, so we actually, so you're right on that. Boards understand that cybersecurity is super important. The cost of it is very well understood because there are, very high profile cases. Recently, there was a pharma company that had to pay $1 billion plus in penalties because of some cybersecurity violations. And there have been plenty of other examples. So I think the boards are very sensitive to the cost of cybersecurity. What they struggle with is to assess where are we and how are we progressing? Are we making progress? Are we sufficiently covered and the like? And we are helping on that front. We have discussions with CISOs where they often ask us to help them with that. And there are two things I would point to. One is a maturity assessment model that we developed. We call it APMA, Application Maturity Assessment. And that allows an enterprise to assess their maturity at a corporate level or at an application level on where are they on the maturity cycle. And no one is fully done and fully mature on every application, but that this gives them this gives them a framework that allows them to say, okay, this application is at this level of maturity and the like, and we can suggest to them a roadmap on how to improve the maturity. So we often see CISOs reporting on their maturity to the board. That's one at an aggregate level. The other thing we have built into our product is something we call risk assessment, where we look at all these different aspects and cumulatively assess the risk of a particular application, because we have a list of all the vulnerabilities and which of them have been addressed and the like. So we can also give a very quantified measure of risk by application, and you can prioritize which applications you need to work on and things like that. And these are some of the things that are going into board decks that CISOs are reporting out to the board.
And when you have those conversations with board, is it easier once you've got that information backed up to show that connection between a robust app security practice and tangible business value? Is it easy to deliver that message?
I think they appreciate the quantification of the risk and the connection, the importance, like I said, the importance of AppSec and the potential costs of not having met that is very evident to board members. They appreciate the quantification and the roadmap to improvement. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah, and you mentioned risk there. With the increasing complexity of cyber threats, is there anything else you can share on how businesses or business leaders listening could better integrate AppSec into their broader risk management framework to ensure that comprehensive protection that they're seeking?
I mean, every business leader should have their CISO report to them on where they are on the maturity of their AppSec practices, and do that at an aggregate level and then at an application level, so they can focus on the highest risk applications. I mean, that's what we recommend to all our customers, and that is the best practice. We have customers that span across government agencies to banks to financial institutions to retail technology companies, and and everybody is struggling with application security, but we and others like us have the technology and the capabilities to help them.
And also, could you discuss the importance of investing in developer training for AppSec? Because I think training often gets missed. And if you do invest in that training, how is an investment like that translating into the long-term benefits of businesses? Because as I said, it's something that often gets missed.
Yeah, we actually have, we are unique in that we have a whole training offering called Code Bashing. Mm-hmm. And that is integrated into our platform, and it is a platform for training. You can have developers go and get trained and certified at various levels. But even more importantly, what we've done is we've integrated it into our product offering. So when we identify a vulnerability, it in context tells you, here's the training module related to this particular vulnerability. So developers can immediately see a 5-minute tutorial on a particular vulnerability that they've been tasked to solve. We see a lot of interest from companies on enabling their developers, because developers generally do not tend to be experts at security, and therefore training becomes really, really important. You talked earlier about DevSecOps, and that's another shift that has happened. As DevOps has shifted to DevSecOps, where the security processes, the security checks, and addressing security vulnerabilities has been completely integrated into the DevOps process, which is why we call it DevSecOps. And as a result of this, companies don't let developers build till it has passed certain thresholds on security, and therefore training becomes extremely, extremely important. And that's why we have integrated that into our product. In terms of the ROI, training is one of those things. The more you can do to enable your developers, the better it is. And every CISO is focused on the developer experience. So delivering remediation capabilities has become really important, and that's where training fits in. And that's how they rationalize it. It's all around developer productivity.
And just to bring to life everything that we've talked about today, I appreciate you probably won't be able to share any names, and it's not really the names that's important. I was wondering if you could share a use case or a case study or an example of where Checkmarx has significantly contributed to a customer, a business success through AppSec solutions. Is there anything that you can share just to give everyone an overview of how all that comes together?
Yeah, so maybe I can use this opportunity to just give a sense to your listeners of the kind of customers we have. We have about 1,800 customers, and these customers span some of the, about 50% of the largest banks in the world are customers. 100 plus US government agencies are customers. So we land up getting very broad exposure to a broad swath of customers. What we typically see is, you'll be surprised by this, that many enterprises are very immature on their AppSec processes. They have AppSec, but it's targeted at a few applications, and even that is done as an afterthought. As they're adopting DevSecOps, they're integrating that. So we often land up becoming advisors, working with customers. I'll give you an example. One of the large financial institutions, they adopted our product. And when we got it up and running and we ran almost 2 million lines of code, actually it was a little more than, it was 2 billion lines of code. They found 500,000 vulnerabilities. And they were just overwhelmed, saying, oh my God, we didn't know we had these many, and do we really need to address all of these? And if we address all of these, we won't be doing anything else for the next 3 years. So we used our risk assessment to reduce, to prioritize them. And within 6 months, we were able to eliminate 90% of them, because often There's redundancy in vulnerabilities. It shows up, the same vulnerability shows up in multiple applications in multiple areas. By correlating all of them and prioritizing all of them, we are able to, reduce them and improve the fidelity such that it becomes a manageable number, and we've been able to help them, and then it becomes more of a manageable problem that people feel like they can handle. So not all vulnerabilities are created equal, and having that sense of prioritization is really important. So we've been able to do that with several customers. I apologize, I can't share individual names. It would become more real if I shared a customer name, but we are tied to a confidentiality there.
An incredibly powerful moment to end on. But before I let you go, it's time to have a little bit of fun with you now. I always like to finish the podcast by asking some more personal questions that will get to know my guests a little bit better. So I'm going to begin with now. First of all, we have a Spotify playlist. What song would you like to leave everyone listening on that playlist, and why?
Well, Queen is one of my favorite bands, and they have one of the best songs. They have many good songs, but the one that I love in the context of Checkmarx is "We Are the Champions." It's very consistent with our theme of driving to leadership. We are recognized as one of the leaders in AppSec, and that song, it perfectly captures what we're trying to do. So.
Great choice. Well, I'll get that added straight to our Spotify playlist. And you've been such a good sport today. And I can't thank you enough for sitting down with me and sharing your story and the great work you're doing. But I want to see if there's something we can do for you now, because some of the biggest names in business, VC funding, and tech have either been guests or might even listen to this podcast. So is there a person you'd love to have a private breakfast or lunch with? Who would that person be and why? He or she might just be listening to this, but let's see what we can manifest together today.
Well, one of my heroes, running a mid-sized SaaS software company, one of my heroes is Frank Slootman. He has done a phenomenal job as CEO of Snowflake and ServiceNow before that, and Data Domain before that. And he has a book out, which I think is just fabulous. It's called Pop. And I had all of my management read that book, and I would love a lunch meeting with him. But that would be awesome.
Wow, no pressure. Well, we will throw that out into the universe. Let's see what we can manifest together. Just let me know if you do hear back from him at all. It'll be a great story. But before I let you go, for anyone listening, just wants to find out more information about Checkmarx, yourself, ask your team a question, where would you like to point everyone?
Checkmarx.com is a great place to start. If they want to reach me, LinkedIn would be best. I'm also on Twitter at Sandeep Johri. On LinkedIn. You can just search for me and see your Checkmarx. You should be able to find me, and drop me a note there. I respond to every email I get. So, but LinkedIn might be the best way to do it. So.
Awesome. Well, I'll add a link to your LinkedIn so people can find you nice and easily. And we've covered so much today, from the strategic importance of AppSec, board education, business value connection, risk management, showcasing these critical elements, but also about yourselves at Checkmarx, what you're doing there, what makes you different, how you're leveraging AI-driven technology, and even having a chance to share a few success stories as well. But more than anything, just thanks for sharing that with me today.
Thank you, Neil. Thanks for the opportunity.
I think it's clear that the realm of application security is not just about safeguarding data. It's about fortifying trust in this digital transformation journey, which is a journey, not a destination. And today we've delved into how Checkmarx is leading the charge with their comprehensive CX1 platform, but also leveraging AI to stay ahead of emerging threats, and the paramount importance of training developers in AppSec too. And we also heard some compelling stories today of transformation, where Checkmarx has guided large institutions from vulnerability to security resilience. But this leaves me pondering, as our world becomes more app-driven, how prepared are we to tackle the escalating security challenges? What are the next steps for your organisation? especially when navigating your path towards a more robust application security? Well, this is where you come in. Please share your thoughts and join the conversation by simply emailing me, techblogwriter@outlook.com. And if you'd like to come on the podcast and share a different side of the story, I invite you to do that as well. But until next time on the Tech Talks Daily podcast, let's continue to demystify technology and explore those solutions shaping the future. And hopefully you'll join me again tomorrow. So I'll speak to you all then.